Hi everyone, I'm Anders Berglund from Mälardalen University, and with me I have my dear friend Neeraj Sonalkar from Stanford University. Welcome Neeraj.
Thanks Anders, great to be here.
Nice to have you back again. So today we're going to talk about digital transformation and what that has meant, especially throughout the last year's event with the pandemic going on. Where are the biggest footprints of that, would you say?
I mean, interestingly, there's a number of things that, what does digital transformation mean? So for me, it really means changing the way you do business, utilizing new technologies, emerging technologies, so that you're providing more value to customers, you are being more efficient in how you run your operations, and people actually have a good time working with you. So it's really touches upon customer value. It touches upon business operations, business modeling. It touches upon workforce experience, workforce development, the future of work. That's a big category. So that's what digital transformation means.
So one thing that people are also talking a lot of is social connectedness through the new media. I mean, many says also that this is something that will stay. We see hybrid learning, hybrid workplaces in the future. What would that mean for companies, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it could mean different things. One of the things which I feel is that it's not just about translating things you did in person to an online media. It needs fundamentally rethinking what it means to interact and work. There have been, the companies I've worked with, I've discovered that, there are many times when meetings don't need to happen, that people are meeting, without a good reason, that they could just do this thing over chat, over Slack, over mail, email. You don't need to always interact face to face. And there are certain cases when you definitely need that in face or, face to face interaction to build trust. So understanding when to meet, when not to meet is important, what channel to use. It's not always Zoom, those are some of the things which get into this, really. I think
a few things that comes to my mind immediately then are definition of meetings,
right.
or rather redefining the meetings. What you said, meeting face to face, what would that be? Does it necessarily need to meet in person, or can we do it over Zoom or Teams or whatever media platforms or some kind? So yeah, that is definitely one thing. But again, then people are rather, we see many different dimensions here, because from an individual point of view, it can be very stressful, and you're isolated to some extent. For a company, with all these buildings, will they just be empty, or do we need to completely redesign our business models? Or because what happens to the traditional organizations as we normally perceive them before?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely, I think we see trends already of companies canceling leases on their facilities because they don't seem to be needed. So maybe companies will keep some facilities as hot desking. So there's this trend now where you don't have a fixed desk, but there are a number of desks, and when you want to meet in person, you just take one of those desks. So it's like flexible workplace. So you can have that. Perhaps we'll see more of these co-working spaces where if you need to meet somebody, you go to a co-working space, but you don't need to meet within a particular building all the time. So,
Neeraj, would you say that this is something that started when we talk about circular economy? Let's say the electric car. One idea is that you only pay for the service. You don't necessarily need to own one. Will that same thing goes for physical space for companies? We've seen these recent years that I don't really need an office that way, but we can rent this space when we need it. Will it be more of a trend having that, would you say? at the same time, new technologies are pushing that we can build. Constructions will be much more time efficient and resource efficient in time ahead. So
Yeah. So that's a great question. I mean, definitely we have the facilities for that and the technology for that. I think where it becomes challenging is really the tricky question of, as human beings, we are still social animals. We still have a tribal mindset.
Mm.
And, meeting within a company campus or a building, it gives us a sense of belonging. I belong to this company. I belong to this campus. It becomes familiar over time. You can meet different people, serendipitously, where it's something that you have not planned, but you just walk down the corridor, you happen to see somebody walking, it's a colleague you haven't talked to, you say hi, you chat a few things, and that gives you a new idea.
So
or a
that
new
one
so
thing that comes to mind when you say this is the transition where we had the coffee machines. We did this interaction, and new great ideas comes at the coffee machine. What has happened? The first thing that we need to do, working on remote basis, is that we need to have virtual fika, or coffee over the over Zoom, and so on. And to my belief, that has not really been. I mean, there are different ways of, or better ways, maybe I should say, of actually coming to terms on this, how you should socialize over the internet, and this is not the best way. But
definitely, I think that
have you experienced anything that this took out as this stood out as something, a good example that a company or
not really. I haven't seen any replacement for the coffee, workplace coffee machine or things like that. I think, yes, you can each get your own coffee and meet, but it's still not serendipitous. It's not that you're accidentally meeting somebody else.
The thing is that you need a purpose. So if you talk at the coffee, I mean, the coffee is partly the break. It's the purpose of having the break. But at the same time, I think about the younger generation. Kids are doing all these online gaming, and I tested it myself just to see experiences and so on. I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but if you look into that, I mean, they tested this as a platform. The purpose then is go into the environment, not necessarily do all the activities that they're expected to do there, but rather hang out. And that has been maybe the new today's virtual fika, I would say, or in a virtual coffee, that you actually do this in a completely sort of second life attitude to things.
You could do it in VR to some extent, but still you need to get your own coffee. VR doesn't give you coffee, right?
I agree.
That's the point of it, is that we are not sharing food because each of our kitchens is different. And sharing food is important. It builds trust, it builds camaraderie. It helps in making people feel that they belong there.
But do you see it as a growing possibility of as a business to take form here, where we see the one side the physical and one side the digital, where this meets? We talk about hybrid platforms of interacting, and how can you establish that on a good basis?
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely a growing trend, which I see. There will be this, this trend of convenience. But whether there is an upper limit to the trend is something that, we may have to explore.
We will stop. We will not try to explore that now. I think we can dive into that later
Very
on.
good.
Well, thank you for now, Neeraj. We stop there.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes, very good.
Take care. Talk to you
soon. Bye. See you.
Bye-bye.